Hello, and welcome to another episode of Social Workers Rise. It is your host, Catherine here. If you don't know who I am, my name is Catherine Moore. I am the host of the Social Workers Rise podcast. Started this podcast back in January of 2020 as a way to just get the voices out and the stories out of other social workers that I knew, to showcase how amazing they are and the work that we do. Also, as a way to show you that if you are feeling stuck, as I did in my career in social work, that there are so many options with this degree. It is so versatile. It is so valuable. It is a growing field. So if you are feeling stuck in your job and just thinking, ugh, there's nowhere else for me to go, what else do I do? Rest assured, there are social workers in all different fields and areas and expertise, and just the options are endless. You will never, ever do all the jobs. It would be impossible. So that is my other goal for this podcast, is to inspire hope, to get your creative juices flowing and thinking, okay, what else can I do with the skills that I have, with my interest, and where there is a need at, and somewhere that I can also get paid, because I don't know about you, but I got some bills and my time and energy are valuable, and I definitely need to be compensated for this. I am not able to work for free. I wish I could. I would volunteer if I had the financial means to do so, but that is just not my situation at the time. Maybe one day. So today we're going to be talking about myth busting, starting in private practice. So I will be completely transparent with you and say I do not have my own private practice because I don't want one. But I do like seeing clients in the private practice setting. So the reason why, just quickly, I don't have a private practice is because it's a lot. It's a lot to set up. It's a lot of marketing. It's a lot of working with insurances. It's a lot of tracking down people for their payments. And I'm sure there's really great things and people will swear by it, but that is just not my jam. If you want to hear about people and how to start your own private practice, that is not going to be this episode. This episode is about how do we start seeing people in private practice without actually setting up our own. So yes, it can be done, and it's actually fairly easy. So if you're worried about technology or marketing or anything like that, I will let you know you don't need to be worried about those things. The only thing that you need to be worried about is you. Are you ready to make this step? So I wanted to just kind of talk about some of the barriers that come up as far as like starting a private practice. I think the first one that comes up is, where do we get our clients? Where do the referrals come from? And how long is it going to take to actually build up a clientele? And your number of clients that you want to see per week is going to differ. A lot of people that I've spoken to dip their toes into providing therapy while they're still working their full-time job. For example, the hospital that I worked at, a lot of the social workers who were licensed there, they went home and saw one or two or three private pay, or not private pay, but saw one or two or three clients on their own through these different platforms. The one that they particularly used, and the one that I use and recommend, is Rula, but there are a lot of other platforms out there. So while my experience is with Rula, you are feel free to explore the other platforms and see which one feels best for you. So I will let you know. So when I started out with Rula, I dipped my toes in. I said, let me say that I'm available for 3 clients and see how this feels. And to be honest, I was shocked at how long it took them to fill up these 3 clients. It was within the week that they had my availability full of clients. And even better, and this is another myth or kind of a drawback for some private practices, is I was able to specify who I wanted to work with. So when I was working with a private practice and someone else's private practice, it was kind of just whoever came through the door, they would assign me that person. But when I was signed up with Rula, I was able to specify, okay, who is it that I want to see? I want to see adults who are struggling with anxiety, right? And this is true probably for the other platforms as well, as far as you're going to make your profile and clients are going to be able to see your profile, see a picture of you, see what it is that you're writing about yourself, what it is that you have to offer as a therapist, what your specialties are, and who you're looking for the clients. And then they're able to, at least with Rula, they're able to select you and can choose their own therapist, which I think is a really good benefit because it gives the power back to the client to say, okay, I would want this person. And that was the other thing that kind of felt gross to me about some of the other platforms is that they would match you, like quote match. So the client wasn't actually able to choose. It was just the computer who's choosing for them. So I think this gives a lot of power back to the person because they're able to say, okay, this person meets my qualifications. This is who they specialize in. This is their time frame, the schedule that they have available. And yes, everything matches. The other thing that I really liked is that I was able to accept insurances without going through the process of getting credentialed with each and every insurance myself. So the other drawback is that having or taking insurances can be really, really challenging and time consuming and energy consuming. And I don't really want to deal with that, but I do want to accept insurance. And so I really like that just being part of the platform. It's able to make it super duper easy that I can connect with people and take their insurance. And there's not that financial strain on them and also on me too, because I'll be real. This is part of what I struggle with is telling my price and sticking to it. Because if I say, oh, my price is $175 a session, and somebody's like, oh, that's a lot. And I start doubting myself. Well, not doubting myself, but I start feeling bad because I know that they're worried about money and they're stressed about money. And it just feels uncomfortable to me. And I don't want to have to be the one to track my clients down and say, hey, you haven't paid for X amount of sessions, please pay. Like it just feels not right to me. So that's the other reason why I wouldn't want to start my own private practice. The other benefits or kind of misconception about, well, I don't know if it's a misconception. We're going to hit pause on this conversation real quick because the next time that you need continuing education units, I highly recommend the Therapist Development Center. TDC has helped more than 100,000 social workers pass their licensing exams, including myself. I love that TDC CE courses are engaging and relevant. Amanda and her experts give us clear and practical skills that we can immediately apply to our work. Some of my favorites are their Edge of Life Suicide Prevention course, where Amanda shares her personal experiences, and their They Did What? Law and Ethics course that looks at real cases where therapists faced formal disciplinary actions. We are legally required to take continuing education to increase our competence, and most other courses out there don't actually teach the material in a way that we can learn it, but TDC does. Check out the links in the show notes. If you are looking for continuing education credits, make sure that you check out CHEP. CHEP. This organization provides high-quality CEUs, continuing education units, and as a bonus, all of the profits from their CE courses go directly to supporting homeless veterans. So not only are you getting your continuing education credits, you're also supporting out a great cause. Make sure to check out the link in the show notes to find out how you can get started with your continuing education credits today. Anyways, sometimes what I hear about these platforms is that they're unethical. And I totally get that. And make your own decision, as you go out there. But what I really appreciate about this particular platform is that they do send client experience surveys every 3 months. So I just got mine back. And man, this produces a lot of anxiety because I see the email, like, client experience survey results. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope this is good. I hope I'm not messing anybody up, because that's my worst fear, is to make someone worse after therapy than when they started. I don't want to mess anyone up. But when I get the surveys, I'm just reassured, okay, we're doing good. We're on a good track here. My clients feel like they're respected. They're able to give open and honest, anonymous feedback also. So I'm not seeing who actually writes this feedback, but it's able to also give you a snapshot on if they feel better than they did 3 months ago, for example, or if they would recommend you to a friend, or if they feel like their therapist is sensitive to their cultural background, things like that. I really appreciate that the platform is taking an interest in their clients and making sure that they're serving their clients well and with quality therapists. The other thing too is they do hold you accountable. So I noticed I had to cancel an initial assessment once because I had a funeral. It was unexpected. I forgot to update my availability on the platform, and they reached out to me. So they sent me an email. They said, "Hey, Catherine, we noticed that you canceled this initial session. What happened?" And so I really liked that they really value the customer experience, in that they don't want to make it harder for their clients to find therapists, because that's a complaint that I hear a lot, is that it's hard to find therapists with open availability. And I feel like this platform makes it fairly easy for them to find a therapist within their insurance, and the platform does what they can to make sure that they have a good experience. So the other question or concern that I hear a lot is about the workload. So people are concerned if the workload is going to be too much, how the documentation is. And this also is very versatile, and it's up to you. So you can dip your toes in and just say, I want one client and I just want to start there. That is enough. They will let you onto their platform. Some platforms do things differently, and they will say, okay, we want you to have a minimum of whatever, 7-10 clients. Or they'll say, if you see a small number of clients, we're going to pay you a small amount for that. But if you see more clients, then we'll pay you more per session, which I feel like that model is very toxic, and it encourages burnout, because with some of these platforms that I've seen, that if you have 35 clients a week, then they'll pay you that maximum number per session. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, 35. Me personally, I could not do 35. God bless you if you can, but that's just not what I'm able to do at this time in my life. I do appreciate that Rula is compensating fairly. So full transparency, here in California, I don't know how they operate as far as pricing, but I know that my pricing is $90 per session, which I think is fair. It's not the highest that I've seen, but it's also not the lowest. I think it's a fair price, and do with it what you want. This is just my opinion. And there are other platforms that I've signed up with that do offer higher rates per session. However, I have not gotten referrals from them. So even though I'm signed up with them, they offer me a great rate per session, I haven't seen any referrals come in. So that's why I've decided to dedicate most of my availability and time with Rula, because when I said, oh, I want to see 15 clients, oh my gosh, within 2 weeks, I was full. I kept getting these emails. So and so has selected you as their therapist, and another person. And like, to be honest, I got overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, so many people have selected me as their therapist. I hope I didn't mess up, but it was all good. It was all good. If my biggest problem is I'm getting too many clients, then that is an okay problem for me to have. So I hope this answered some of your questions and alleviated some of the worries that maybe you've had, and also giving you a place to start with your own exploration, right? Like I said, I'm with Rula. I think it's a great organization. There are other platforms, a lot of other platforms that other people have had great experiences with too. So I would encourage you to talk to your networks, see what they say. If you're interested in starting with Rula, even just one client, let me know. There is a link in the show notes that allows you, if you're serious, allows you to put in your information, and I will forward this to Rula. That way they can reach out to you directly. You can ask them questions. They can interview you too and see if it's going to be a good fit. And they're offering this new bonus of $500 after you see your first client. Bonus for you and also bonus for me. So definitely consider it. And I think that is it. I think that's it. If you have questions about any of this that I have shared, if you want to share your own experience with me, if you want to tell me about a platform, I am always open to learning and hearing your feedback. There's always so much more to learn. And there's like, oh my gosh, so many new platforms popping up everywhere. So also, speaking of that, if you are licensed anywhere in the United States, Rula is open. I just saw an article recently that they have expanded to all 50 states now, which is really, really cool. And especially if you're licensed in multiple states, it could be a really easy way to grow your practice and to really maximize those licenses in different states. So something to consider. Again, if you're serious about trying this out and trying to be someone's therapist, then let me know. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here. I'm on Instagram at Social Workers Rise. You can feel free to message me there. And that is it, my friend. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.